Welcome, murderers, to our mini episode number 3. In this mini episode, we've curated a collection of a variety of scary topics. We hope you enjoy. Now buckle up and prepare to be scared. See you soon. There is a medicine story that tells of Crow's fascination with her own shadow. She kept looking at it, pecking at it until her shadow woke up and became alive. Then Crow's shadow ate her. Crow is dead Crow now. Join us as we attempt to look through the wandering crow's eye to find the gateway to the supernatural, to seek to know the unknowable mysteries of creation. Welcome to the Wandering Crow Podcast.
Demon in the Woods. This happened circa 1998. I was about 13. We lived next to a fenced and heavily wooded area behind one of our local YMCAs. Being that we lived in a large city, there was a ton of crime, and a few bodies had been found in these woods over the years that were unalived people. We had an extremely religious Christian neighbor that my dad was close with, as they were both single parents. She told my dad that there was a demon that lived in these woods as a result of negative energy from all the violence these woods had seen. I wasn't allowed to go back there, but I still would. Never at night, though, and the few times I did, I would hear footsteps behind me or feel complete dread the whole way home, as I only used them as a shortcut to walk home sometimes from friends' houses. I know this sounds silly, but even in a lit-up city, those woods were so dark. I get that woods are supposed to be dark, and what a stupid thing to say, but this was a different kind of darkness. I don't know how to describe it except for saying they just felt evil. Anyhow, 1998, 13 years old. I did not have the easiest upbringing. My dad was in a constant state of anxiety. We were poor. My dad always owed money to somebody. And my brother and I were pretty much neglected, as all teens in the 90s seemed to have been. I love my dad very much, but there was always some kind of negativity or hardship in his life, which in turn was reflected onto my brother and me because we lived with him. My mom moved out of the state when I was 10. There was literally no solace, and I lived a stone's throw away from these woods. It first started with the reoccurring nightmares. A blackness would seep out of the woods like fog. I could never get away fast enough. It would envelop me and drag me into the woods. I had this dream every night for months. My dad was convinced we were under attack, whereas I thought that it was just him and the neighbor freaking me out with their theories. One night, we were sitting in the driveway in my dad's beat-up old Volvo. We were having an argument. I don't even remember what it was about now, but we were going back and forth, just being nasty to one another. And I'll never forget it. My dad said, "Every time we do this, we just feel this thing that lives out in the woods." I laughed at him. I remember saying something to belittle him, just can't remember word for word, but it was something that pretty much made fun of him and the thing in the woods. At that very minute, something started beating on the trunk of the car. It felt like two fists coming down on the trunk over and over. We both screamed. It got harder and louder. At that moment, I threw my arms around my dad and I said, "I love you. I'm sorry." He said the same, almost like a chant it became. As we said the words to one another, the blows on the trunk began to soften and lessen until they disappeared altogether. And we were both in tears. Later, when he inspected the car, there were dents that looked like fists on the back of his trunk. I know the car was already beaten up to hell, but those were not there before. My dad has since passed away, But even if he were alive, he would never talk about this. The few times I tried to bring it up over the years, he shut the conversation down just as fast as it was mentioned. We moved shortly after that. I still believe in my heart and soul that those woods have evil living in them, and I live 3 miles away from them now. Sometimes I feel curious enough to try to go back and record to catch something, but then again, I'm so terrified to even think about walking into those woods at night. I'm pretty sure my family was targeted by a demon for about a year.
My big brother used to have an imaginary brother, and he would always play with him, but sometimes he would say,
"Stop, leave me alone."
Or,
"No, I don't want to go to my room and play."
my mom would ask him, "What's going on?" And he would say,
"He won't leave me alone."
and of course my mom had no idea what he was talking about and thought it was just him being a kid with an imaginary friend. Well, the day after my brother's birthday, he had these balloons. And keep in mind, my brother's just a little kid. He's obviously not tall, so he couldn't reach the plates, knives, forks, etc. It was around 10 or 11 p.m. and my mom heard the balloons pop. So she went outside, and my brother looked really scared. So my mom asked him, "What happened? Did you pop the balloons?" And my brother, freaking out, said,
"No, it was him."
pointing to his imaginary friend that my mom obviously couldn't see. My mom saw the knife next to the balloons and immediately knew that he was too short to reach any of those things, so she said, "Get out of my house!" She said that to my brother's imaginary friend. Since my mom couldn't see him, she asked my brother if he left already, and he said he had left and thanked my mom. Later, about 10 to 15 minutes later, my cousins came over, and my cousin said that he saw a woman in all white with her hair in front of her face in the front door. My brother said that that was his mom, and she opened the door. My cousins were already inside and asked my brother if she was still there. My brother said yes, that she was mad. She started to yell for her to get out, and then she asked my brother if she was still there, and he said no. My brother is now 19 and says he still sometimes sees him in his mirror.
North Jersey in the mountains. Our family home was part of a mining railroad system. The old railroad was in our backwoods. Our home was an old slaughterhouse/livestock farm. Dug up skulls and bones my whole childhood. We actually had the ruins of the old slaughter mill in a field with a blood drainage system into a pit with lots of bones. My entire childhood, stuff would fly off my shelves onto the floor, where you'd set an object down in the corner and it would be gone. I actually witnessed these things. Sometimes I would feel something sit on my bed too. As a young adult, I consistently burned sage in my room to try to get rid of whatever was stuck in my room. My parents remodeled the house and found a bunch of animal bones buried in the foundation. And by foundation, I mean a pile of dirt with wood set on top of it. Eventually, I felt the scary thing leave my room, but there was another ghost still present. During COVID, I moved back in with my parents, and a few times a week I would hear their heavy-ass door open and shut. They had a porch and deck with multiple doors, so air pressure literally could not have caused a door slam. I'd hear heavy boot steps down the stairs and yell, "Hey, Dad!" No response. Checked my parents' window that overlooked the driveway, and of course, no one would be home. Parents are still in this house and say they consistently find all the kitchen cabinet doors open. Or they hear stuff in my old room that sounds like a bookcase falling. And they'll rush up and everything will be perfectly fine. Or things will go missing and they'll find them in my old room. When they remodeled, where the attic door staircase became my mini bathroom. My dad never believed in ghosts, but now that he's retired, he 10,000% believes we have ghosts. He was in the military, so he thinks it's funny and calls the ghost Gladys, but he definitely prefers to spend his time outside. My mom does not think it's funny at all, and I'm just glad I live very far away and I refuse to stay with him when I visit.
I was a bartender at a small hotel in Cincinnati for a year. It is known, although not widely, for being haunted. My chef, manager, and several co-workers have seen a 6 to 7 foot tall shadowy figure with a pinstripe suit and fedora standing or floating past them. One night around 2 a.m., a co-worker and I were doing paperwork. She left the dining room to put it all away, turned the corner, and immediately backed up. She turned to me with tears in her eyes and said, "I just saw the hat, man." That freaked me the hell out. I've never personally seen it or anything particularly spooky. However, I slept in one of the rooms one night where a woman had died of a heart attack in a couple of years before. That was the only time I've ever had sleep paralysis. When I was 10, me and my grandpa were driving to a ranch in Mexico. It was about 3:40 in the morning. We were driving on a supposedly haunted road. For context, my grandpa had a blue Ford pickup truck. Well, anyway, my grandpa and I were just making conversation, and then he said, "This road is haunted by a lady who stands on the side of the road asking for rides." So I got scared and started looking out the window. 40 minutes pass. The sun is still down. My grandpa keeps looking at his rearview mirror. I ask him what's wrong, and he replied, "Nothing." I then look at the mirror, and my heart drops, and I'm just paralyzed in fear. I see a woman in white dress with pitch black eyes in the back of our truck. My grandpa looks at the mirror once again, and I'm guessing he sees it as well, and he just slams on the brakes. We both just look at each other. We look at the mirrors, and she was gone. Me and my grandpa addressed what happened and confirmed that we both saw her. We got out of the truck, and we were moments away from falling into a deep ditch off the road if my grandpa hadn't slammed on the brakes. We could have been dead. Ever since, we never took that road. It was the scariest moment in my life. Well, murderers, that's all we have for you today. I really hope that you enjoyed these scary stories that we've pulled together for you. Some of them were pretty spooky, if I do say so myself. Well, until next time, when we serve up another delicious little morsel of scary stories, sleep well.